With Mark, and I'm your host, Mark Harrison, and behind me is my company, Texas Mortgage Source, and I specialize in home loans. So if you're looking to buy a property or refinance or build a house or remodel a property, let me know. My number is 512-789-6967. In the meantime, I'm ready to introduce a good friend of mine who's my guest today, and Chris is a returning guest because he's one of the more interesting people I know, and I know quite a few people. He's a coach and mentor, and somebody who I have a lot of respect for in lots of different ways. He has a podcast as well. We're going to talk about that some. And I was on his podcast recently, and that's what we're going to talk about today, some things I learned myself. And I want to kind of share those back to you guys because I think it's really important. So welcome again, Chris Kyle.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Good. So give us a little bit about your background real quick and kind of tell us what we're going to be talking about today, because I'm really excited about it. And I'm not kidding.
Well, I've had, so over the course of my adult life, which is getting longer by the year, I have...
Fourth quarter, what'd you say?
Yeah, I'm definitely in the fourth quarter. I own several businesses. I loved just, small business entrepreneurialism and in construction and all sorts of different things. But ultimately, what I ended up getting into was really in the personal growth realm within a Christian context.
Yeah.
And became a coach and a trainer, and then a trainer of trainers. And
right.
So that's really the background where I really explored. Really, for me, it's ministry. It's not necessarily, overt Christian context, but it's the same approach. And certainly, I think a Christian foundation is critical for someone who wants to have an enjoyable life.
A flourishing life, as you say.
Flourishing life, yeah.
And we met probably 10 years ago in a small group study on a book you wrote called Apprenticing Jesus, which I was attracted to prior to me even meeting you. That's how I met you.
Yeah, I was just looking at those
Great
the other day. I was like, dang, there's some good stuff in here.
There's some really good stuff in there. And we're going to talk about some really good stuff today.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we reviewed this, 4 or 5 weeks ago on your podcast. And we want to talk about that some, but also kind of what we're going to be sharing today, which can impact your personal life, your business life, your relationships, your health. Everything. It's universal. And so kind of kick us off on these 7 steps.
Okay. So what we're talking about is what I call investigating your current reality. Okay. So why, just a couple of minutes on why that's important. First off, all of us get stuck, or we have things happen in our life that are things that we do that we're dissatisfied with.
Guilty.
Yeah. Everybody's been in a scenario in which they feel stuck, or they feel like there's no way forward. They've tried everything a human can be expected to do. And yet, if that other person would just come around,
right.
This is the typical marriage breakdown, right?
Right.
I've done everything a human can be expected to do. And if you would just change, we'd be all good.
Be all good.
Yeah. And that is the great lie. And what it does is that is an invitation to staying stuck. And it's an expression of resistance. So when our life in any form, fashion, everything from just the traffic driving over here, or as simple as that, or anywhere else, isn't the way we prefer, we resist it. That's just human nature. It's part of the human paradigm. Isn't going to change. You never rid yourself of that possible response. And it tends to be automatic. It tends to be the autopilot response. When things aren't the way I want them to be, even from tiny little things to major things,
right.
I resist it.
Right.
And what you resist persists. You just feed energy to what's not working.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do I extricate myself from a resistance mindset that's filled with judgment, recalcitrance, resignation, apathy, all of those things. Anger.
Right.
Yeah, anger for sure. Vitriol, contempt.
Yeah.
All of those things are resistance mindsets that are poisonous, actually. If you're looking to create a life that is genuinely flourishing. So most people think, well, I should be positive. And so then they just say, okay, I'm not going to be this way. I'm going to be positive. That almost never works, because the underlying conversations that you're feeding have not been interrupted, so you can reconstruct them in a way that will work. So
it's peeling back layers.
Yeah.
And layers.
Yeah. And so my thing is get to neutral.
Yeah.
Get to where you're not run by whatever the negative elements are that you're entertaining regarding whatever it is, whether it's a relationship, something in your life, something you're trying to accomplish that you're having a hard time with, just circumstances, any of those things that put us in a disposition that's not fruitful. How do we get that to where we're forwardly engaging in a way that will produce results?
Yeah.
So this is I think the biggest miss. We try to just flip over to the, optimum opposite mindset, and it doesn't hold.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do I get to neutral? If I can get to neutral, then I'll see possibilities I currently can't see, because out of my confirmation bias way of living, which if you're human, confirmation bias kind of rules. We look for evidence to back up what we've already decided is so.
Yeah.
And so when it's a negative thing, we look at all this evidence like this. If you're in a breakdown in a relationship, you see all this evidence for why it's not working from what the other one is doing.
Right.
And then that's what fuels, because humans love being right, even when they're dead wrong.
Sure.
So their commitment to be right. So getting to neutral is what I'm talking about. Because when you get to neutral, then you can recreate without trying to overcome that internal resistance you have built up,
right,
which will squash all efforts otherwise.
Would that be called emotional intelligence or something? Something along those lines?
Well, it'll enable you. Well, it's just you can notice things that could be put in the category of emotional intelligence and embrace them.
Okay.
If you get off of what you're resisting. And of course, honestly, I have to say this in relationships, rule number 1 is forgiveness.
Yeah.
Rule number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 through 10.
That's biblical. That's biblical.
So it's 100%.
It's number 1.
It really is what separates Christianity from every religion in the world.
Sure.
It's rooted in forgiveness that was given to us. Therefore, we're required, if we say that we're going to live that life that Jesus lived, we're required to forgive. So forgiveness is the first, but then there's habitual ways of thinking that still will get in the way.
Yeah.
So this is about how to figure out what I'm thinking that I don't even know I'm thinking. Like there's things we know that we know, there's things we know that we don't know, but the things that bite us are the things that we don't know, that we don't know.
Right.
So this is a process.
Which is 99% of it, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, I call it investigating my current reality, mostly internally, really.
Right.
And but also just in terms of what my thinking is, so I can identify more clearly that which I wasn't noticing that's not working, and transition that to a mindset or a thought process that works.
All right, very good. So that's a great lead into what we're going to be talking about. And unfortunately, this is not a 3-hour show. It's only a 30-minute show. Yeah. So we're going to have to kind of cover this stuff pretty quick. But the first question that we talked about the other day, which I've gone through my business and wrote this stuff out, is what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with that.
Okay. So number 1, there's 7 steps to investigating current reality. And I want to go ahead and let me just read through them. Without explanation. So if we run out of time, at least we've got that part of it out.
Right.
The first thing is just to look fresh at what's happening.
Yeah.
Without all of my biases and without all of my justifications for this.
Neutral, being neutral.
Yeah, neutral.
Yeah.
Just like you're another party coming in and looking and just looking
like you're
at
a consultant of your own self.
Yeah. You say, what's happening?
Yeah.
You look at what's happening, and it's especially helpful to look at what's happening that you haven't thought about. Because we tend to only look at what's happening that supports the way we think it is. And then we miss all sorts of other things that are right in front of us. So first off, You just ask yourself what's happening.
I want to back up real quick because I've been doing these mortgage loans for 40 years.
Yeah.
And this has really changed the way I look at my business. And I just did the business. It could be anything.
Yeah.
And it's a phenomenal process.
It is. It's a great business process. And it's a great team process in a business where they're looking to make some moves or change directions. Second thing, when you look at what's happening, also, one thing, just when you go into this process, I really recommend, I'm a big believer in breath work. I recommend that people just do some deep breathing and calm themselves and release anything that is from a resistance or agitation point of view. Just breathe it out. I mean, it's like I'm giving it up to God. He can handle it. I don't need it. And then breathing in his peace, his awareness.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, if you just take a couple of minutes doing that, then your mind will start gearing to the present versus being run by what you've already decided to sow.
I heard this great analogy or definition of ego, edging God out.
Yeah.
You know, so it's sort of, let's kill the ego. Let's put the ego aside for a minute and let God come in.
Yeah. And then another element of that reminds me of is just ask God to be with you and to bring to mind what needs to be brought to mind.
Right.
It's his spirit in us. So why not engage
with that?
Why not utilize it? It's only like the greatest power on earth.
Yeah.
His spirit.
Yeah.
So what's happening is number one, I'm going to go through them quickly, even though I say that and then I don't do it, but I'm going to try to. So number two is what's not happening. Now that's true from both something bad that's not happening, that I'm just like in doomsday land. So I just think everything's screwed up. Right. So what's not happening, but also what's not happening just from a neutral point of view. This is what's happening. What's not happening. And these are just open, creative questions that you want to dwell in. You want to be
very curious.
Yeah. You want to marinate in these questions and just notice what comes to mind. Have a pen and paper there and write everything down that comes to your mind, because you want to journal with this, because thoughts will come to mind and then you can't recapture them if you don't capture the thought. Because when you get it down on paper, then you can go back and really think about it and contemplate it further.
Yeah.
Right. So
I'll give you an example. My first line I put on myself was, what's not happening right now is the level of consistency, leverage, and scalability that I'm fully capable of.
Okay. So you know that those things are things. So that's very critical. In a business thing, a lot of the what's not happening elements is things that aren't happening that they wish were happening.
Right.
That's one element of it.
Right.
But then there are things that aren't happening that if they were happening would make it worse. That's really helpful also, because that it gives you some balance in how you're looking at it. You know, what's not happening is we haven't been hit with a nuclear bomb today. That's kind of a funny way to say it, but you know, like it helps you keep in perspective.
No,
because we tend
there's
to
a level of
focus
gratitude around that.
Yeah,
too,
we tend to focus on
the negative.
You know what's happening that we don't like, right? So that's what's happening. Number two is what's not happening. Number three, and you're journaling now. What's working? You want to look at what is working. Maybe not a lot is working that you can think of.
But something is.
But be open. What's working? What is working?
Yeah.
Because we tend to catastrophize a lot. Like, this is all screwed up. This is a disaster. It's a catastrophe. Well.
Or it's depressing or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, okay. In the midst of all that, what is working?
Yeah.
And then it also is just from a practical point of view in a business setting. Well, what are we doing that is working?
Yeah.
And then because you don't want to blow that away.
No.
In the pursuit of fixing what's not working. And then that's number three. Number four is what's not working. And these are things that you're just this is not a frenetic process. It's a contemplative process. If it's done in a group setting in a business, like a small group of leaders or people in a business in a department are doing this because they need to make some changes or whatever. It's calm and contemplative.
Yeah,
is how we think of these things. And if you're drawing a blank,
even when you talk about the not working part,
it
doesn't come from criticism.
No,
it just comes from.
It's just factual.
It's just factual.
It's just factual.
It's not working.
What's not working? So let's say someone's in a relationship and they're in a breakdown. Well, what's not working? Well, what's not working is we're not being with each other the way that we aspire to be.
Yeah.
That's not working.
Right.
And
right.
then, but also I want to think about it from my contribution.
Right.
So what's not working with the way that I'm engaged in it?
Right.
Well, maybe yelling at them and judging them, and maybe that's not working. And so we can start really taking ownership for the totality of what's happening versus cherry picking all the things we think we're doing and cherry picking all the things we think they're not doing.
Yeah.
And so,
I was thinking to myself, I'm 66 years old.
Yeah.
And I wish I'd known this when I was 26.
You're a youngster.
That would make a lot of difference if I was 26.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it makes as big of a difference no matter how old we are.
I know.
Yeah.
Still,
but we get ourselves, into the ditch if we just keep on one track, and then it's hard to get out of the ditch. But so what's happening, what's not happening, what's working, what's not working, everything, small or large, you just write it down. And then the fifth one is, what am I experiencing? So the experience and the emotional state that we have is also communication. Emotions are communicating something.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get tied into, well, what am I experiencing? Am I experiencing, certainly it's resistance, but you drill down on that. And am I experiencing anger? Am I experiencing disappointment?
Frustration?
Frustration.
Boredom.
Yeah, whatever it is. You want to get it all down.
Right.
And you're just like very curious, like you mentioned earlier. This is all about curiosity. Mm-hmm. You just want to be in a perpetual curious state as you enter this and stay in it.
From the state of neutral again, going back to neutral.
Yes,
as
and
best
when
you can.
notice yourself getting not neutral, meaning getting all caught up in being right about whatever it is,
right.
You let that go, breathe, keep breathing deeply, be curious, right? Like if you're, the fly on the wall, so to speak, observing, that'd be a very smart fly if they could do that.
But that's right.
Anyway, that's right. Number 5, what are you experiencing? So you're going to get that down. And if you draw a blank, guys in particular sometimes draw a blank. Like sometimes I'll be in a funk and my wife will ask me, well, what are you feeling? I'm like, well, I don't know.
Right. Me too.
I have to stop and get quiet and sort of breath work with contemplation.
Yeah.
And just be open, and eventually it will occur to me.
Right.
But if I don't get in that mindset, then
it's harder for me too.
It's just like it's chronic. You know what I mean? And I don't. And then I usually can figure it out. But I have to be just patient. That's the other thing. Curiosity, patience, and openness are the key mindsets throughout this whole thing. Open. If you're in a group working on it, someone else may come up with something that's not working within the group project, and you may not agree. Well, be open.
Right.
That's their point of view.
Put everything out on the table.
Yeah, for them, that's true. So there's no price you have to pay to be open, other than just giving up your inherent desire to be right about everything.
Right.
Right. So experiencing is important because it brings in the emotional state, and that will also often be a path to something that you didn't realize. And that could
and that's kind of the fun of it too. When you find something that you didn't know existed. Hunt. It's a treasure hunt.
This is a big treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And then that's number 5. Number 6 is what's wanted and needed. Now there's 2 words there, wanted and needed. So what you do there, after you've got all these things you've been thinking about, you say, well, given what we've discovered or what I've discovered in numbers 1 through 5, what do I think is wanted or needed? And so wanted, includes things that you come up with that you prefer or you think would be good. It's like your point of view that this is wanted.
Like in a business, be new leads, more leads or something like that?
But also in a relationship, what do I want?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's wanted here from my point of view? What's wanted from me? What's wanted from others? What's wanted just from creating something in the situation that creates an opening for something else, and what's needed. What's needed is more in the category of something that currently isn't happening, but it comes to mind that if it did happen, it would be useful.
Mm-hmm.
What's wanted and needed. So like in a relational breakdown, there's a couple of obvious ones
Mm-hmm.
on this one.
Mm-hmm.
What's needed is openness, curiosity, care for the other,
Mm-hmm.
respect for them.
Mm-hmm.
What's needed is to release judgments. What's wanted is, what is it that I really want? Well, I want connection here. I want to be moving forward, working together,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's good.
And
there's a great book called Love and Respect in Relationships. I forget the author's name, but the basics is a Christian-based book too.
Yeah.
That women mainly need love and men mainly need respect.
Yeah.
They both need both.
Yes.
But that was a real eye opener for me.
Well, and that's just straight from Scripture, and it's also just so true. It really is.
Yeah.
So love and respect are always helpful in any situation.
Any situation.
So then the seventh one is what's next.
Mm-hmm.
And what's next is, okay, given all of this that I've got on paper, or if it's a group working on a group project that we have on paper, what's next? What's a concrete action step we can take that could move us forward to our designated possibility that we're working on
goal,
producing?
Or the vision.
Yeah, our vision. So what's next? What's the next steps that will move us forward? And then you just think about it. Well, what could I do?
Mm-hmm.
What can we do collectively? Not just actions, like you're taking steps that are actions, but what's next just in terms of your whole approach to the whole thing also.
Yeah, an attitude too.
Yeah, how are you going to hold this?
Yeah. That's
where the attitude comes in, and how and what do we need to do and what's next is simply how do we move this forward? Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. I use this whenever I'm doing trainings. I don't necessarily just spell it out like this, but when I'm doing a Socratic inquiry-based dialogue with someone in a training,
right,
who's there to work on things, and they got particular things. These are the things I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And then on what's next is, okay, in a training, it's like, okay, so how can you start putting that in action right now here with this group of people you're with here?
Right.
But so it's not limited by time or space or who you're with, what's next.
Right.
Because you control your thought processes, you control your orientation, and you can always have a what's next in that. And then that ultimately does translate into taking actions that are new, mm-hmm. that have the potential, that are rooted into what you learned in this process, and they're designed to move something forward to its designated goal or possibility. And then this isn't a one-off deal. You do it, you're good to go.
No.
You do it again and again, mm-hmm. and again, mm-hmm. and again and again and again. And it will help you continue to hone down, reboot, recalibrate when needed, mm-hmm. and hone down and get wisdom regarding how to move things forward. So, people who are trying to, at the beginning, like I forget the name, Oppenheimer, the Oppenheimer movie.
Yeah.
Which they were
great movie.
Doing the impossible,
right.
In the realm of science. This was a process that really they didn't name it like this, but it was very much like this. And they'd make progress. It wasn't the end result. And they're trying to make a nuclear bomb, right? That's a very positive.
Yeah, I wouldn't be on that team.
Yeah,
they wouldn't invite me.
But they did what they did was darn near miraculous in terms of the time they put it together.
It's a great movie
and saved a lot of lives.
Ultimately,
there's people on other sides of that argument, but the military had done all the work on it. They just kept firebombing because they pretty much burned down all of Tokyo. They firebombed it, and they said if we keep firebombing, or if we do a nuclear bomb and that gets their attention and they quit, they figured out it would be the less lives.
Yeah.
So it was a horrible thing. It was war, but it ended that war.
Right.
And so
within a week.
And look at, Japan today. I mean, it's one of the most prosperous countries in the world. So,
well, we only got a couple minutes left. What do you recommend? You talked a little bit about breath work. Just talk about that briefly, because I think that's important.
Yeah, we should do
we'll do another one.
Yeah, do another one on breath work. Breath work is the most powerful practice that one can do personally and create measurable results with that I know. And I've done courses on it. I got a whole book on it, which I'm going to publish here sometime soon. But it's what I did. I lowered when I got into breathwork, it was 2008. I really practiced it, and then I eventually taught it. But I lowered my blood pressure, the top number on my blood pressure, 40 points.
Wow.
Doing breath work.
Not medication.
No, I'd take no medication for it.
Yeah.
None. Never have. And
that's
just
remarkable.
Doing breath work was the one thing I changed. And so it's tremendous for physical health. It's tremendous for mental health. It's tremendous for peace, calm, and orientation. And it's so simple. And the cool thing about breathwork, it's the only practice I know that even if you don't believe in it, even if you don't think it's going to work,
it still works. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we may have to come back and talk about that some more.
Yeah.
You've got a lot to talk about. I can tell you that much. And my little 30-minute show doesn't do justice to that.
Well, we got through this anyway.
A little bit. Yeah. We could dig deeper, but so
Yeah.
far so good. I appreciate you being on, and we're going to wrap it up for the day, and we'll do